think of surprise as a spice, you probably don't want to overspice your dish.
Everyone is trying to be innovative at the moment. Do you think this, culture of surprise affects the innovation capabilities of organizations?
Okay, everyone's looking like this. What happens if you look at it like this? Life has brought us together. This is my opportunity to actually make this person feel seen, feel valued, feel, special. And that is the time when surprise becomes really meaningful. I'm Tanya Luna, and I'm on OOMPH by Mahmoud.
And this is season one. O for Oh My God, on magic and surprise in customer and employee experience.
Alive, it's the title.
I want to first take from you, uh, your definition of surprise. What is it, and how does it impact us?
Yeah. So the short version is our surprise is our brain's reaction to something unexpected or misexpected. So I think something is going to happen, or I'm not even thinking of anything, and something happens. And for our brain, that's very important because from an evolutionary perspective, the unexpected or the unknown demands that we pay attention to it. It requires us to go, oh, I don't want to be caught off guard again. So let me put a lot of my cognitive resources, unconsciously. This is what's happening. In the brain, one of the ways that we like to describe surprise is really as a sequence rather than one event. So we call it the surprise sequence. It's freeze, find, shift, share. Freeze is that first kind of 1/24th of a second where you have we call it the duh face. You're just kind of in the moment. Then find is your brain going, what's going on? What's going on? What does it mean? Is this real? Is this a trick? Is this good? Is this bad? Shift is a really interesting one. That's when your brain kind of mends what we call the schema discrepancy. So maybe if I think that, I don't know, okay, I'll talk about pigs again. I'm sorry. So a lot of times people are surprised by my pigs because people don't associate pigs with, for example, being cuddly. So if you see me and my pigs snuggling together, or my pigs, being affectionate or smart or things like that, for some people, if they're not expecting that, it creates a schema shift, a shift in how they see things, so that in the future, their brains are more prepared with that knowledge of, let's say, pigs. But it's important for obviously any area in life. What you learn about people, what you learn about brands, you want that shift to happen. You don't want that shift to be bad if you're talking about a brand or a customer. And then finally, share. That's when, because surprise creates such kind of this cognitive burden on our brains, it's so much work psychologically, physiologically. One of the ways we relieve that burden is to talk to other people about our surprising experiences. Again, if you're thinking about it as a brand, or even as a person, you want that positive, you want that sharing to be positive. You don't want that sharing to be negative.
Yeah, creating a positive word of mouth and something that people would really want to share. So from that point of view, if you want to sum up three impacts that are normally created by surprise from what you mentioned.
Surprise is an emotion intensifier. Surprise is the thing that allows our brains to learn. And surprise is a memory maker.
If we speak about that in the customer experience and customer relationship context, are you with customer surprise, or are you against customer surprise?
What do you think?
No, but I understand also at the same time that you will have, your thought and perception on do's and don'ts within that.
I think that, we can't just use surprise as a blanket term. I think we have to do everything we can to eliminate unpleasant surprise and to elevate positive surprise. But you have to be judicious with it. Like, think of surprise as a spice. You probably don't want to overspice your dish. So I think about removing negative surprise. For example, I think about with my own clients, where are we potentially, what are their expectations, and where might we be under their expectations? Where might we disappoint them? Are we making them wait too long? Are we making them take too many steps? Are we causing confusion anywhere? Let's get rid of those surprises. We do not want those surprises. A surprising bill at the end of a service. You don't want that kind of surprise. On the other hand, what are their expectations, and where can we jump above those, not all the time, because we don't want it to feel like a roller coaster. We want people feeling kind of safe and comfortable with us, but every once in a while. So maybe usually you get an invoice and it's just a boring invoice. Maybe we'll add, a GIF to it, or maybe we'll add a code for a free workshop they could take online. Usually you would expect, a conversation with a company to feel very formal and scripted. One of the things we work hard on is making it feel unscripted and personal. We'll add jokes to it. We'll mention things that they said 3 months ago and say, oh, you mentioned 3 months ago that you really care about, hiring inclusively. Here's a free resource for you that would make that easier for you. So the little things like that. Sometimes they're playful, but I think the more meaningful surprises are the ones where the person feels really seen and heard and cared about.
If you want to deliver that through a customer experience, how do you really make that possible and scalable and something that everybody can do, not only Tanya and the the old the oldies in Life Lab.
I think part of it is, honestly, part of it is who we hire. So we look for people who in the interview process talk about experiences they've had of creating thoughtful, meaningful, delightful experiences for others. I think everyone, honestly, or at least most people, like making other people feel good. I think that's actually built into our genes. But for us in particular, because it's such an important part of our experience that we try to create for our clients and for our team, we specifically look for that. We look for people who look at situations where someone was difficult to work with and find ways to turn it into a positive. We look for people who go out of their way to delight people. So that's step one. That makes it much easier to scale. Step two is we map the client experience. So we very visually show our team, including people who are directly working with customers and people who are indirectly working with customers. So in your first week at Life Labs Learning, you get training on basically how to be a client. And right in that experience, the first interaction we have is you're pretending to be a client of Life Labs Learning. So that way we want people to have that empathy, the kind of visceral experience of what is it like on the other side. And then once they've had a little bit of that experience, we show them that visual map and say, here are the different touch points. Here's what people are expecting and feeling during those touch points. Here are emotions we don't want them to have, and here are emotions we do want them to have. So we create kind of a touch point of both the actual experience and the emotional experience.
To go back to the employee experience part of surprise and creating a culture of surprise, how can we do that? If you have quick tips, and also from your experience, what have you seen that has an impact on the organization itself?
I think impact, oh my gosh. I think about, the whole year 2020, our team thrived. I think we were nervous, we were anxious. So many of our clients were struggling financially for a while. It was difficult. It was scary, but our team just really rose up to that challenge. And even if some people didn't have enough work, they took on other jobs. Everyone was just checking in with each other and saying, what can I do? How can I help? Our clients were incredibly stressed out, were incredibly anxious. So our team was there was this outpouring of support for our clients. We had weekly and sometimes 3 times a week free sessions with over 1,000 people on a Zoom call, where we would just share information for free, pass on tips, pass on support and encouragement. We have the Slack channel for our clients and for our people ops or HR community. And we had our team in that Slack channel just looking for ways to help. And people were still kind of laughing and crying together, at the same time. There was a lot of emotional space for emotion. And I think in a way that was really needed. And that's a dramatic version of it. But even day to day, I think a surprise culture is a resilient and an adaptive culture. And it's what we need today. If 2020 taught us nothing else, it's to expect the unexpected, to expect that the future will not look like the past. And in order to be able to rise up to that challenge and actually enjoy it, you need a culture that reinforces both embracing the unexpected and creating the unexpected. So as for your first question of how to create that culture of surprise, I feel in some ways, I feel like I'm still so inside of it that I don't know yet if I have the easy kind of map, but let me tell you what my theory is. I think number one is make the intention explicit. For example, within our company values, we don't say create surprise, but we say one of our values is always be learning. Another one of our values is open the circle. And another one is find a way to play. Another one is choose courage over comfort. And I think that combination of this is going to be a place where we value courage, where we value learning, where we value play, and open the circle to us means, are you considering other people's needs, other people's perspectives, other people's views? Are you going out of your way to make people feel welcome here? And I think the combination of setting that up as like the blueprint for our culture has really paid off, because the people who join are the ones that are buying into those values. And they're seeing, hey, as a company, this is how we make our company decisions. This is how we treat each other. This is how we interact. So I think that's number one, is find some way to make it explicit. The other thing is, especially early on, or if you're trying to shift your culture and to be more surprise welcoming, I think you got to kind of bombard people with positive surprise experiences. Early on, we used to do every single week, we would have something surprising happen. We would have, a guest visitor. We would have massages in the office while people were in meetings. And a lot of that was kind of company led. And then as people started, kind of becoming a part of it and expecting it, then we invited other people to be a part of it. And we would say, hey, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. So really the co-creating piece, I think, is so essential. And then you need to create some sort of systems for it. So whether it's a budget or a ritual of, taking turns, creating some kind of experience for each other, I think the system needs to reinforce it as well. You can't just have a bunch of people saying, surprise people, it's important. I really love the idea that your budget is the best reflection of your strategy. So literally looking at your budget and saying, are we creating space for this? Whether it's by literally giving people money, or is it that people are so overworked and so exhausted that there isn't space for surprise and play? Like, are you putting enough money into your budget to give people permission to interact in kind of social and impractical, spontaneous ways, versus are you just working on everything we have to get done immediately? There needs to be space for surprise to happen.
And I think one interesting and lovely thing about what we have at the moment with the things being remote and virtual, I think within organizations we have much more access to virtual experiences, and then basically you can serve them experiences from all over the world. It doesn't have to be someone that actually comes to your office to do something.
Exactly.
That's really amazing. Yeah, everyone is trying to be innovative at the moment. Do you think this, culture of surprise affects the innovation capabilities of organizations?
Yeah, innovation is a surprising way of looking at things, right? And if you have a culture where surprise is encouraged and practiced, you're like building up your surprise muscle, basically. So you have a way of interacting with people and with the world and with ideas where you're constantly asking, how else can I look at this? Okay, everyone's looking like this. What happens if you look at it like this? And I think that there's both resilience and the capacity for creativity and innovation in that.
What is your favorite personal tip? I know by now probably it's in the blood and DNA, and things happen um, by itself. But there is also an element that if you create a lot of surprises, sometimes you become like self-competing in how can you really make this much better than before, because you also in a way are trying to surprise yourself if you want to do that. Yeah. What is your personal tip on crafting surprises?
I think the thing that still serves me best is to have kind of the lens on of being a surprisologist. Like I am a secret surprise spy in every conversation I have with everyone ever. And I'm paying attention to little hints they're dropping about the things that would mean something to them. And to me, it's not about topping surprise after surprise after surprise. It's all about, can I be a good enough listener and attentive enough to notice what's important to someone, so that that gives me the tools and the intel to be able to surprise them in a meaningful way. And it's not like I go around surprising literally every single person I interact with, but as soon as I kind of train my ear to notice, hey, someone just said something meaningful to them. Sometimes it'll be a friend of mine. Sometimes it'll be, someone who works at the grocery store. That's my kind of assignment almost, to find a way to surprise them. And that's another important thing, is like, I think what matters is just always be on the lookout for it. You never know who is going to be that right surprise opportunity. Like right now we're in the process of moving, and we hired a contractor to put up a fence because we have goats and pigs and dogs. And this wasn't my surprise, but my husband was like, oh, I found out that the contractor that we hired is paying for a hotel to be able to work on our property. So he found out what hotel he was staying at. He called the hotel and he paid for his night at the hotel. Our contractor was not someone we expected to surprise, but you just kind of pay attention to, what are my surprise opportunities? And it's delightful for everyone. It's delightful for the person. And I would say it's probably even more delightful for you as the surprisologist.
Yeah. And basically it becomes like a background process that's running all the time, right?
Exactly. And it just kind of reminds you to recognize how much delight, possibility there is in life, especially these days where a lot of us are feeling stuck inside. But as long as you're interacting with anyone, that's your opportunity to turn it into an experience that they're going to remember, an experience they're going to talk about, an experience that's going to, for them, define maybe even humans, right? Because if you get surprised especially by someone you don't know all that well, all of a sudden you go, maybe people are really nice, or maybe I can do that to someone else. You're sort of contributing to a shift in the way that people see themselves and others.
And I feel like beyond the delight that you get through a surprise, whatever has happened or whatever has been crafted, there is a very deep meaning about someone has actually seen you, and someone has actually noticed that bit of detail about you, and feeling of worthiness, feeling of being seen, being attentive to. That is like very, very deep, because I think at the essence of it is like, okay, that person actually went out of their way and they did this for me. I'm that important in life, something like that.
Yeah, going back to the customer experience, a lot of times when you think about customer delight, it feels very like strategic or engineered. But at the end of the day, it's like, can you at least momentarily fall in love with this person that you are serving in some way? Can you think of your customers and say, I don't just want them to buy things from us. Life has brought us together. This is my opportunity to actually make this person feel seen, feel valued, feel, special. And that is the time when surprise becomes really meaningful.
I agree. That's really very deep, and it's very easy to do. I think if like a lot of us have these attention issues, like can you just focus on the now and on the moment and on that interaction that's happening now? And that doesn't really require procedures or budgets or anything. Thank you very much, Tanya. I really, really enjoyed doing this interview with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
My name's James Samperry, and I'm on Stunning Moments.
This is Adam Lawrence, and this is the James Bond Experience.
I'm Michael Russell, and I'm on X-Raying Surprise.